Welcome to What's the Deal with Sam? Starring Sam Lilly. Join Sam as he discusses a wide variety of topics.
Bad
Now let's start the show.
Thank you. What's the deal with mixing up the Nintendo DS with the Nintendo 3DS? It's like mixing up the Wii and the Wii U with the ground. I don't know if I've touched on this before, but it's a topic of this confusion with these naming things for these game systems and their games. Well, I guess, it happens with other things as well. It happens, like I said, with the Wii and Wii U. Sometimes people say Xbox when they might mean, the first Xbox. They might mean Xbox One, which is like the latest one. They might mean Xbox 360. They just say it as a general term for any of them, which doesn't really tell you enough information most of the time, unless they actually mean the original Xbox. And even then, they almost have to specify. When PlayStation is a similar thing. If you just say PlayStation, do they mean PlayStation, or the PlayStation 2, or the 3, or 4? Do they mean the PlayStation Portable, the PlayStation Vita? I don't know. They just said PlayStation. So it's a lot of times it's just like not enough information, and it can be kind of confusing. And I think with the DS and the 3DS, it's especially bad. For one thing, these are they're not like, it's not a general thing. Like because comparing those, even, it's almost like saying I got a Nintendo, and you're like, well, a Nintendo what? There's a lot of Nintendo systems. But like, when you say like a DS, people use this pretty much as a blanket term. They use this as a blanket term for the DS and the 3DS, and that's kind of not good, because then people start to think that they're the same system, or their things are interchangeable there. It's like to go with that. It's like I don't know. Like, for example, let's say I'm like, I'm really liking this A Link Between Worlds game on my DS. Now, that would be wrong. It's a Nintendo 3DS game. And so, let's say I said that, and then my friend is like, who has a Nintendo DS, is like, that's cool, I want to play that. And they get the game, and then they try to put in their system and play it, and it doesn't work. And then they're confused, like, I don't understand, it's a DS game, that's what I was told. Well, it's not. It's a 3DS game. Now, the 3DS can play DS games, but the DS cannot play 3DS games, because the DS was a generation before the 3DS. And so that's why it's kind of a problem. People who don't know these things are being just told this incorrect information. So even by just trying to use the information they're given, because that's already wrong on face value, it's hard for them to discern necessarily what you're talking about. Maybe I'll know what you're talking about because I am a fucking video game nerd, and I know a lot of the stuff. I might still ask, maybe, for some of it, if it's a little too vague still, even, but it's like, yeah, I'll know if you say, like, I was playing A Link Between Worlds on DS, like, I'll know what you're talking about. Sorry, I had a weird mouth spasm. I don't know what the hell it's about. I might be dying, I don't know. I might know what you're talking about, right? Because it's like, it's on the 3DS actually, but because there's no there's no Link Between Worlds on DS, like, I would know that. Because I know that the DS is a different system than the 3DS, and I know, that game, and that it was only for that. I know these things, so obviously that information isn't really for me, because I already knew. But if you're telling someone else who doesn't necessarily know, and you're just saying to everyone, I'm playing this game, this DS game, that's not helpful. And that's actually could be harmful, and they're going to get the things that they don't want. They're going to think maybe there's something wrong with their system, or that this stuff is too confusing or something. It's going to be hard with this misinformation. And to be fair, it's already shitty even with the beginning amount of information we're given, because you've got in the 3DS family of systems, that does not include the DS. We have the Nintendo 3DS, and we have there's the Nintendo 2DS, which a lot of people were like, did that come out before? Or is that a new system? Is that totally different? I don't know. And I remember seeing signs go up when that came out, and I was like, oh yeah, these play 3DS games. It's still part of the 3DS family of systems. It does everything except for play games in 3D. So it is a 3DS without the 3D effect. It's still part of the 3DS family of systems. It can still play DS games, like all of the 3DS family of systems can do. But a DS is not part of that, because a DS cannot play 3DS games. Plus, then you got the new 3DS and the new 2DS, and not to mention the fucking XL variant. So it's already just confusing as shit for a lot of that. It's like, what is this? Which system is new? Which ones do you need? And it's like, yeah, you need one of those 8 or whatever variants of the same fucking system. And that's already confusing. So to have someone else say that, call a game a DS game when there's a bunch of these other things, you're like, what the fuck? Even if they said if it was a 2DS game, you'd be like, oh, well, there's not any game that says 2DS on it, right? So they probably mean 3DS. And if somebody who has a 2DS, gets a game that somebody said it was a 2DS game and they got it, whether you had a 3DS or a 2DS, you could still play it, so it wouldn't really matter. Because you still had the number in front of it, it might not matter. Even then, it could be confusing. Another thing is, just saying what it is. You're if it was, the other way around, for example. It's oh, yeah, I've been playing this, if I was playing, I'm playing, Phantom Hourglass on 3DS. And it's well, you could be playing it on a 3DS, even. Or maybe you're just playing it on a DS. But if you called it a 3DS, then someone goes, oh, I want to play that game, and they go looking for it. And it's looking through the 3DS section. It's I don't see this game anywhere. Well, yeah, no shit, you didn't see it there because it's not a 3DS game. And that's, again, the misinformation is not helpful. And I guess what I'm getting at with this is that yes, I'm an asshole for pointing this out and trying to correct people on this when I usually know what they're talking about. But I also think it's helpful for them to know that they're saying it wrong, and for them to then say it correctly going forward to other people, so they don't spread the misinformation, and they instead spread the correct information so that the people can get the things they need to get and not have all this confusion and disappointment and all this shit. Because it's bad enough we're already trying to fight the strange naming trends and redesigns and all that shit, dude, in gaming industry. In the gaming industry, and it's hard enough to battle around that bullshit that's already being thrown at us. We shouldn't have to throw it around at each other too, and I don't think we should be super upset when somebody tries to correct us with that. Yes, I'm an asshole for it, but I'm not doing it just to be actually that's the wrong thing. I know because I am a real gamer. I'm not doing that shit. I'm just no, it's I want you to know what's the proper thing to say. I wasn't, even if I didn't do that, it wouldn't make me not an asshole. I was an asshole before I tried to do this thing that was going to help you. And yes, if you're thinking that the reason I'm recording this at the time of recording is because I recently had a poor encounter with someone who was mad at me for correcting them over this, you're absolutely right I am, because fucking, why, I don't know why somebody has to be mad at me for that. I don't know, that rubbed me the wrong way also. So now I had to be mad about people using information wrong, and mad that they're mad at me for just correcting them, and then even more mad that they're still probably going to say it wrong every other time. And all I've done is just piss somebody off, and they piss me off, and no one's happy in that exchange. But just use it correctly, and then you'll be happy, I'll be happy, and no one else will be fucking confused. And, just make the world a better place or whatever. Fucking think of the children, some shit like that. What's the deal with mixing up the Nintendo DS and the Nintendo 3DS. It's like mixing up the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance with the ground.
What's the deal with sand? What's the deal with sand? What's the deal with sand? What's the deal with sand?
Hey, future me, remember to put this at the end of the 3DS video. Thanks, future me. You should get this as an end clip bonus for your video. Think of it this way. Think of it like, okay, so I got this Blu-ray, and I'm watching this really great Blu-ray, and I say to someone, yeah, I got this this cool movie I'm watching. You should watch it. I've been watching it on DVD. You should watch this movie I've watched on DVD. It's great. And like, that sounds awesome. Let me borrow it. And you give them the Blu-ray and they put it in their player. It doesn't work because they have a DVD player. The DVD player does not play Blu-rays, but the Blu-ray player plays DVDs. You see what I mean? They're two different. Yeah, they're both discs. They're both discs. But they're not the same thing, and when you spread that misinformation, it causes confusion, it causes problems, and it's a similar kind of thing with the DS and the 3DS. Look, I mean, I don't want to sound too harsh. You're just ruining everything. You're destroying society, and you're a bad person, and you should feel bad. Like I do, all the time, all the time, all I feel is bad. And, why, if everyone just felt as bad as I did, it would be normal, and then we could just say that feels good now, because it's regular. It's just, we all just feel regular now. We're all fucking normal, with our DS, DVD, 3DS, Blu-ray, player disc, game card, systems. All right, future me, you can stop the clip now. I'm gonna go cry. Make sure you cut out that part because I don't want anyone to know that I'm gonna go cry. Thanks.